Minecraft horror videos are very hit or miss. Mostly miss, almost strictly miss if I'm being honest, but when they hit, it is blissful. When somebody comes along and has the ability to turn this innocent game that used to be, and still is, a safe space for millions of people into a terrifying, deformed, hostile version of it, my brain turns into autism ground zero. I get sucked into it, I watch it over and over again like a dumbass, trying to find hidden details, trying to figure out what the story is about, reading into it way too much, and I know that a lot of you share that passion. So recently, after coming across one of those rare hits and creating a new hyperfixation for myself, I thought, might as well just turn it into a video and give you something to obsess over as well. People seemed to like that the first time I did it, so I'll do it again. Today's subject, the hit in question, is The Last Beta Player by Monster. It's a video, actually a movie, that simultaneously made me fall in love with the Minecraft horror genre again after months of watching pure slop, you know, all the Minecraft ARG 2004 re-uploads and probably some guy named Andrew, there's so many of them, but it also completely ruined the genre for me because it set such a stupidly high standard and nothing has been able to reach ever since I first watched it in November of last year. My plan for the video is, first, I want to go over the movie, give you the rundown of what happens, and afterwards, do a little analysis type deal. Talk about the good and the bad, why I like it, etc., blah blah blah. But before that happens, I need you to go watch it first if you've never seen it. I know I haven't told you squat about it, but that's on purpose, because believe me, being able to go into this blind was a literal gift from the YouTube recommendation gods. It's an incredibly unique take on Minecraft horror, and it's really, 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 really good. I promise you won't be disappointed. So you better get your ass over there, and then come back here. Pretty please. Let's start. It's October 29th of 2023, and our protagonist, KDavidOK9998, who I'll simply refer to as David, is checking back on a post he submitted to the Minecraft subreddit. He's been playing beta 1.7.3 for a while, and yesterday his fog slider stopped working. It permanently set itself to the Silent Hill setting, and it won't budge. He reached out to Reddit for help, and in true Reddit fashion, instead of, getting help or advice, he gets laughed at for enjoying a video game, but that doesn't discourage him, and neither does the small render distance. However, when he loads up his world, we quickly learn how debilitating the fog will really be. David starts out in a structure called Castle Von Spawn and walks to the opposite end of his base to continue an unfinished build. On top of the lowest render distance setting being horrible by itself, there's also the issue of the lighting in this version colliding with David's base design philosophy of planting a big tree everywhere that it is not, meaning trees emit shadows when you're under them, and he put them literally everywhere, unintentionally making this pretty little town much darker and more grim. David quickly runs out of clay, so he backtracks to the town and looks through his chests to see if he has any left. He doesn't, so he makes a boat and goes out looking. After a semi-successful search, he's greeted by Beta's pitch black nighttime, in which he will now have to traverse through to find his way back. Very underprepared, he walks into a forest full of hostile mobs. A skeleton shot scares him stiff, and a bunch of mobs start to gang up on him. As panic starts to set in, he reacts to every movement in his peripheral. A zombie far away, a sheep, even a block of grass. Unfortunately, he gets so distracted by focusing on things all around him that he doesn't see a creeper walk behind a tree right in front of him. It blows up, backing David into a wall. Panicking, he desperately tries to mine up, fighting one mob after another, and with 5 hearts left, as daylight begins to creep in, he leaves the forest, and he's finally able to take a breath. After a short break, David continues his walk back home, but he gets interrupted by this. A village. A village that he clearly did not build. David explores the houses, but they're all empty. There's no sign of any other players or villagers. It's just an unoccupied structure that appeared in this world out of nowhere. Taken aback by this, David enters one of the houses and leaves the game. A day later, we see that David, once again, reached out to Reddit for advice. Only this time, someone actually decided to help.
This looks like an old prototype for village designs that was scrapped before the release of the Adventure update. Not sure why they'd be in your game because they were never added. Maybe you're playing an unofficial version or something. Here's a link to some more info.
The comment contains a link. It directs you to Minecraft's IndieDB page that shows a picture of Notch's village prototype from July of 2011. These at some point were scrapped, and Mojang decided to use Jeb's design instead. Not much is known about these villages, only 3 pictures of them exist online, and they were never added to any official release. Nonetheless, the houses in this screenshot are a carbon copy of what David stumbled upon in his version of the game. Unsure about what to do, David boots up his world, breaks a few blocks of wood from one of the houses, makes a sign, writes a message, and finally goes back to his base and continues to build his tower. A few minutes later, David goes down to a previously explored mine, where one of my favorite jump scares of any Minecraft horror media happens. I'm gonna play it now. If you're definitely afraid of jump scares, even the quiet, tame ones, skip to this timestamp. Though it's the tamest jump scare of all time. You'll be fine, I promise. Following that, David walks down to an unexplored part of the cave and finds a 2x1 tunnel. Like a normal person, David quits the game and never comes, but now he doesn't. Curiosity gets the better of him, and he goes into a tunnel that looks like something straight out of a nightmare. A dark, cramped, claustrophobic tunnel with no end in sight. After a good minute of walking, David finally reaches the other end and finds himself back at the village. He hesitantly enters the house where he left the sign, but the floor is patched now, and the sign is gone. Eventually, David finds his way back home. He enters Castle Von Spawn and takes a second to reflect on the situation. Upon leaving, he realizes the Castle Von Spawn sign has been changed. Moments later, we're in David's house. While smelting some iron, he hears player-like footsteps outside. He's been on edge ever since he found the tunnel in the cave, so he storms out, ready to confront the source of the sounds, but no one's there. Next, he hears footsteps trailing away behind him. He follows them into the forest, but he quickly realizes he's in over his head. There's tons of mobs around him, and all he has is a bunch of arrows and a sword that's being held together with duct tape. He comes out of the forest, still in one piece, and all of a sudden, his phone rings. David picks up, but the caller is silent. He unpauses the game and is faced with a decision. Go back to relative safety of the town and risk a trip back for the forest, or go into the unknown while unprepared and stressed out of your mind, but have a chance at finding the thing that's been toying with you all this time. David's hesitation goes away the moment he hears another set of footsteps behind him. He instantly rushes to investigate. A torch flickers in the left corner of the screen. David, rightfully so, is creeped out and looks around for anybody who could have placed it. When he turns back, the torch is broken, laying on the grass, right in front of a cave. He picks it up and enters. The single torch is one of the only two forms of producing light that he has with him, the other one being a half-used flint and steel. At first, he utilizes the torch by lighting up an area around him, memorizing it, then breaking the torch and going forward until he needs to see again. This tactic swiftly proves to be nightmare fuel, and David switches to flint and steel. He uses it very mindfully, only when he needs to, often walking into pitch-black areas, crouching and staring into the darkness to try to make out if there is anything in front of him. After a while, he runs into a crossroads and hears somebody walk to the right. He investigates, and that's when the cave changes from a single confined pathway with a few openings into a chaotic set of tunnels and crevices. David's flint and steel is losing durability drastically. He's only got a few uses left, and there's no possible way for him to go back or to explore the whole cave system. The thing he's chasing could be anywhere by now, and if he doesn't find a way out of this mess, he's gonna be stuck down here with it. David chooses a tunnel and walks down it, Thankfully, he notices light protruding through a pile of gravel, which turns out to be a pool of lava. The lava lights up the cave just enough to see the next possible routes he could take and to bring some comfort, but not enough to feel totally safe. David explores further, and after walking into a hole in the wall, this happens. David is frantically looking around for his way back, but it's of no use. All the fire has gone out, and he knows even if he somehow remembered the route he took, his flint and steel would break before he got out. As he lights up the cave, the game begins to stutter, and David realizes he's reached a dead end. With the music still blasting in his ears, he desperately tries to mine his way out. When he gets to the surface, he shuts off the game and his entire setup. The song you heard is called Magnetic Circuit, mostly known as COM 4. It's a track that was composed by Notch in the early 2000s. It was later accidentally included in an early build of Minecraft when it was used to test the music system. Over the years, it's been speculated COM 4 has a minuscule chance of playing in certain versions of Minecraft. For a long time, people believed it was in the infamous Alpha 1.1.1 update, but it's never been proven, and no one has ever legitimately documented the song playing in-game. I found videos of it allegedly playing in-game and comments from people claiming to have heard it, but all the information is so confusing and vague, it's practically a myth at this point. We jump in time to November 6th, a whole week after what happened in the cave. For the third time, David posted about the anomalies in his world to Reddit, and I guess third time's not the charm, because his post gets straight up deleted by the moderators. Left alone, without any help, he jumps back into the game, and immediately you can tell, despite the week-long break, he's still creeped out, and his paranoia did not go away. David's fear and anxiety can be felt through the screen, but for some reason, he keeps insisting on playing on this world. He's trying to act as if nothing has happened. He wants to casually play the game and continue to work on his base, but that's just not possible anymore. The atmosphere of the town has permanently changed. It's not the base we've seen at the beginning. It's all still and uncomfortable, and as empty as it looks, it doesn't seem like David is the only one there. David is kind of on autopilot now. In order to distract himself and try to repress all the emotions he's feeling, he goes through the usual routine. He cleans up his inventory, grabs and smelted ore from a chest, and walks to the blacksmith building in the village. While smelting gold, he completely zones out, spending the entire day in front of the furnace. Still not all there, without thinking, he opens a door that has a creeper right behind it. It blows up and leaves David barely alive. The shock wears off fast when he realizes the whole town is permeated in darkness. All the torches are gone. He rushes to his house to sleep, but the bed is gone as well. The lack of torches causes mobs to spawn all around him and the whole town, so he runs away. A literal army of hostiles chases after him, but he manages to escape. With half a heart, nothing to defend himself with, and nothing to regenerate health. He sets up camp on a frozen lake and has no idea what to do next. He's technically safe here because no hostile mobs can spawn on ice, so chances of death are 0, but he can't get any meat from pigs because they don't spawn here either. Thankfully, one of the spiders he's killed dropped enough string to make a fishing rod. David tries to catch fish, but he gets absolutely nothing. The waters are dead. He starts watching a YouTube video to pass the time, which I'll come back to later, but as night falls, he's caught nothing, and he goes to shut himself in his cobblestone house. David finally gives in and deletes the save file. I love this movie for many reasons. It's fascinating. It's unlike anything else I've ever seen, and it's easily the best experience that I have had with this genre. I doubt I'll see something even close to as good as this was in the near future. Well, it's been like 10 months since I first saw it, and I found nothing, so I guess I'm right. From beginning to end, I could not look away. I consider this to be the little peak of Minecraft horror, you know? I have a lot to talk about, if you couldn't tell. I want to start glazing this movie from top to bottom, so strap in, because this is the second part of the video where I ramble about why my mentally ill brain likes this short film so much. Glad you made it this far. Hope it's not been terrible. Now, for the first 12 minutes, give or take, right up until the first village encounter, I had absolutely no idea what I was watching. I was confused. Without the cinematic intro, I would think I'm watching some guys' Let's Play. And that's an aspect of this movie I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. Usually with Minecraft ARGs and horror videos, it becomes obvious pretty pretty fast that you're watching somebody doing a very bad job at pretending to play Minecraft, and it looks and feels off. It's so stiff and awkward, almost robot-like. It's this weird phenomenon across the whole genre where the main character feels like an alien who's sweating bullets trying to act human in front of other people. It's an issue of the majority of Minecraft horror content I see, and it is bad, but I didn't realize how bad it actually was until I watched Last Beta Player, which blew everything out of the water. Monster's performance as David is so natural that it's kinda scary. I genuinely thought I was tweaking and I was about to watch a guy play Minecraft for 15 minutes. I don't know how much of the movie is acted out, which scenes and things were intentionally included and which weren't, because it looks and feels as if Monster forgot he was making a movie and was just playing Minecraft. It's that good. His playing, his behavior, his reactions, it's pretty much indistinguishable from someone just recording themselves playing old Minecraft. Up until the first village sighting, it's genuinely hard to tell what Last Beta Player is, because the performance is just perfect. And what I think makes it as perfect as it is that it's filled to the brim with the subtlest of details. Details you probably didn't notice on your first watch, or at least didn't perceive them as important or intentional. A few examples. While building, David misplaces blocks, his tools break and he makes new ones on screen. He uses modern Minecraft techniques once in a while, forgetting he's in beta. From time to time, he takes a few seconds to adjust his shirt or scratch his nose or chest. After he runs out of clay, instead of instantly going out to search for more, he looks for his chests first to see if he has any, crafts a boat, to go out looking, and then he looks in the chests again in case he missed it the first time. While running out of a forest, he comes across a spider shortly after the sun rose, and he does a quick double take at it because he's not sure whether it has changed to its non-hostile daylight version or if it just didn't register him as an enemy yet. Monster captured the most trivial elements of gameplay you don't think about twice, not even once, these unimportant little moments that happen when sitting down and playing a video game, things you wouldn't think to add to something like this, and he added tons, sprinkling them evenly all throughout the movie. These may seem insignificant, but without them, I promise the change would be drastic. Imagine if David built everything perfectly and never stopped for a second to think where to put the next block, if he never miscalculated a jump, never got stuck on a block, he always knew where to go and what to do at every specific moment, he'd feel like some perfected AI set with a specific route and a to-do list. These tiny details, combined together, are what makes the character of David stand out from the huge crowd of ARG protagonists, and they make him feel real. He feels like an actual person. This is a guy, your average Joe Schmo. He knows how to play the game, but he has imperfections, certain habits. He's good at building and fighting, but sometimes he creates not really pretty structures or makes basic mistakes. He has all the mannerisms of an average Minecraft player and all the mannerisms of a player in his specific situation, a guy who switched from modern to beta and has already played for a while on his beta world. He remembers some of the tricks from the past, like breaking a crafting table with a sword instead of an axe, because for some reason that used to be faster, but you'd catch him try to put on armor with right click or try to hold and drag items in his inventory. This is an ordinary person. This could be anybody. Me, you, your buddy on Discord you're ignoring right now, or the guy in your house named Jason. Not only does this help you sympathize with David, but it also allows you to easily put yourself in his position. He acts like pretty much anybody would in this situation, making the whole experience really immersive, which I think is one of Last Beta Player's strongest suits. The immersion in this movie is something that other Minecraft horror creators should study with a fucking pen and paper in hand. The illusion of David being a guy somewhere in the world experiencing basically a creepypasta played out right in front of him was never broken. Not even a little bit. I was invested. I was right there with him trying to figure out what was going on, like he was a friend. And Monster's performance played a crucial part in that happening, yeah, but there was something just as important, if not more, that heavily contributed to that. And it's that the scary events, the spooks, didn't feel like some crazy fiction. Don't get me wrong, most of what happened in Last Beta Player could never actually happen in-game. I'm saying this, but after certain recent events, I just feel like I have to hit that statement with a good old, at least I think so. But what I mean is, none of the scary moments go over the line of, like, absurdity. David doesn't teleport to another dimension or get surrounded by a bunch of entities every few minutes. Everything that happens is weird, but there is never a moment where you back away from the screen and think, this is stupid. What's happening? The movie pulls you in and keeps you fully invested because the events in the film have this incredible dynamic. They are made to be fairly believable. They're kept within the confines of what could technically happen in Minecraft while still being unusual enough to be unsettling, sometimes outright scary, and to keep you questioning whether something sinister is happening or not. I think Monster managed to perfectly balance the movie in between two scenarios where, on one hand, it seems like David could have been experiencing obscure glitches happening one after the other, mixed with random occurrences outside of the game, like the noise in his room or someone calling his number, and on the other hand, that it could have been the work of something or someone. Being in the game that had a plan of toying with David for its personal unknown reasons. The floor getting patched up and the sign switching places could be some being communicating, or it could be a glitch related to problems with chunks. Minecraft loves to incorrectly save worlds. It straight up reloads stuff, adds stuff, deletes stuff, switches and mixes stuff, re-adds stuff but in the wrong place. It could be a various amount of things. The tunnel connecting to the village seems impossible and very much man-made, but when you think about it, the game has an infinite amount of worlds, and terrain generation has proven many a times to be silly like that. The footsteps, don't even get me started. Old Minecraft's audio is horrid and it has annoyingly superb timing. What David is experiencing looks and sounds like too much to be a strange set of coincidences, but trust me, I know a thing or two about those, and this could very much happen. Audio in old MC had tons of glitches, especially footsteps. For instance, at one point you could hear squids walk. Yeah, it sounds delightful, doesn't it? When they graze the bottom of a body of water, the game recognized it as walking, which led to moments like this. Not fun. You can also blame Mojang for giving the player's walking MP3 file to every other mob. A cow could walk out of sight, disappear, and if you didn't see it, you'd think you're cursed, like, oh, yeah, footsteps in my single player world. No, I'm perfectly okay, no, it's totally fine. These events are great scares in the context of the movie, and they fit into the believable while still weird but not absurd category, but there's 3 other events that unleash this dynamic's full potential. 3 events connected to each other by the fact they can all be tied back to scrapped features from earlier builds of the game. The village, Com4, and torches breaking and disappearing, which I didn't tell you about. This could be related to a scrapped mechanic that was supposed to be added in the Halloween update, where torches would run out after a while, and the player would have to relight them using flint and steel. This trio pushes the boundary of believability. Your head is practically screaming, entity. There's an entity here doing this. These features were never added in a public build of Minecraft, and the insanity of them happening back to back You can't just chuck it up to obscure glitches and be done with it. However, at the same time, there is some level of reasonable doubt to these, because all three are existing features that were meant to be implemented into Minecraft. Everything presented is kind of insane, but it has been showcased or mentioned by Mojang at some point. Every block, piece of audio, or mechanic used in these scares is or was supposed to be in the game. Nothing used was outside of the realm of possibilities in Minecraft, so the logical side of your brain says, okay, David's version of the game had to corrupt itself in some way that made this unused data pop into his world. These are amazing. I love them. They intrigue you, scare you, and fully immerse you all at the same time. Again, the whole thing is amazingly balanced. The idea that something sinister is happening is there. It's started to become omnipresent ever since the first village encounter, but you couldn't tell with certainty what was really happening because nothing was ever set in stone, basically up until the very end, where shit undeniably started to go down. The first actual sign that the game was busted was the bed disappearing in David's house, 41 minutes in. A really cool detail about this is that seemingly the bed disappears alongside all the torches, which initially made me think it could still be blamed on a glitch. The bed could have been collateral damage from all the torches breaking, but the torches actually are already gone by the time David gets to the village, while the bed is still there, meaning it had to break somewhere in between David leaving his house and the creeper blowing up. It was a totally separate incident that couldn't be caused by the game, and here I want to shout out Toasted Cherries for pointing that out. I watched beta player multiple times and I've never caught that detail. The next sign was the waters lacking fish. This pretty much solidified that something was happening to David's world and that something was actively and intentionally messing with David. I absolutely adore how this scene is set up. A now hopeless David crafts a fishing rod and as a last-ditch effort stands there out in the open, alone, probably going crazy, the game painfully silent and motionless. Same goes for David. He doesn't make a pip and he barely moves throughout this long, drawn-out attempt at saving himself. The tension is slowly building, and the longer it goes, the more you understand that this isn't gonna work. He's not gonna catch any fish, so your focus switches from staring down the fishing float, waiting for it to move the slightest, tiniest bit, to anxiously looking at this almost still image, ready to hear footsteps or see somebody at the edge of the fog. And then the scene switches to David watching a video on his phone. A tiny, itty-bitty jump scare that made me jump harder than a few entire horror games. It was pretty much nothing at all, but it was the perfect way to break up the tension. The first time I saw it, my head went back and my eyes opened all the way. But the second time was actually a lot worse, because, fun fact, the video David's watching is a real YouTube video by a YouTuber called Dialco, titled Creepy and Weird Stuff in Old Minecraft. Fantastic video. He talks about weird occurrences in his own beta worlds, the overall creepiness of old Minecraft, and scary myths/videos that were made during that era of alpha and beta. That video inspired me to make the Strange House vid I put out about 2 months ago, and it's how I came to know about the Strange House. Dialco briefly mentions it at some point, and coincidentally, that's the part Monster decided to put into beta player.
The reason, or what he believed to be the reason, was this glitch would pull worlds, or pull the save data from multiplayer worlds, and then accidentally put it into your single player world.
Was this glitch would pull worlds, or pull the save data from multiplayer worlds, and then accidentally put it into your single player world?
I don't blame him. It's a great reference considering the appearance of the village that David clearly did not build, but I got paralyzed for a good few seconds when I realized what it was. I watched it in the midst of everything insane happening in that haunted ass world, and it added to the feeling of being cursed. Like, I couldn't escape that stupid video. And it happens seconds before the ending sequence, which, holy, is it fantastic. Upon entering the hut, an amalgamation of everything that's happened up until now is thrown at David, and it's amped up to 100. He experiences a kind of sensory overload because everything bad that could have happened did happen, and then some. At first, it's footsteps again. Then his phone rings and a door opens. He nearly drops his phone while fumbling to close up the hut and to turn off the vibrations from the call. Next, you hear somebody break ice and dive underneath. Initially, it's one person, then 2, 3, 4, possibly more, breaking the floor, the walls, the ceiling, and as a cherry on top, Calm 4 starts to play again, upon which David exits the game and deletes the save file without hesitation, ending the nightmare he's been enduring for the past week and a half. This ending is a beautifully terrifying resolution to the movie. It implies that whoever or whatever has been haunting David was the cause of all that's happened. The footsteps, the music, structures appearing, blocks disappearing, these actions were all deliberate, calculated, and directed straight at David. None of it was glitches or coincidences. Someone did it, and worst of all, by deleting the save file, he may have stopped it, but he will never know what truly happened. Nothing has ever been revealed to David or the viewer. We never truly saw anything. Nothing was shown or told. This entity, person, thing is gone, and the world that we knew no longer exists. The mystery of it all is going to remain a mystery forever. At this point, David could only theorize who was behind all of this, what happened, and why did it happen. I have a theory, more so interpretation, that I definitely didn't craft with the help of the comment section, not at all. I'm an independent thinker. See, from time to time, the last beta player drops subtle and sometimes not so subtle hints as to who David is and what's going on. We can gather a lot of info solely from the introduction. Through the computer screen and webcam, we can establish David is a player from modern day and that he's probably played Minecraft for a long time, knows a thing or two about it, but also isn't fond of modern Minecraft. The version he's playing, beta 1.7.3, is described by many to be the last authentic Minecraft experience and the best version of the game to date. It's become fairly popular in recent years because it's the last version that still has the old Minecraft aesthetic and gameplay that was completely lost in beta 1.8 and onwards. Beta 1.8 introduced a mass amount of new blocks, food items, mobs, it added XP, the world generation got an overhaul, adding new biomes, rearranging old ones, adding structures like mine shafts, ravines, strongholds, villages, big mushrooms. The combat system was remade, a hunger system was introduced right alongside sprinting, they added a whole new lighting system. Beta 1.8 offers basically a completely different game than beta 1.7.3, so every person who wants to experience old Minecraft chooses 1.7.3. David did, and he used multi-MC to do it. He used an external launcher for a version of the game that is perfectly preserved on the official Minecraft launcher with no problems to it whatsoever. He doesn't even have the official launcher on his desktop. We are clearly dealing with a Golden Age subreddit user. Then there's the Reddit post. It got downvoted, and the only reply is a person laughing at his request for help and his questions. They basically tell him, hey man, you're playing on a 13-year-old version of this game. There's been a few updates since. Just play the modern version and leave the glitched out version everyone's already moved on from. The video he's watching on his phone is a YouTube short, pretty obviously targeted at a younger audience. The person in it is very energetic, they're practically yelling every word, and David doesn't like it. He puts away his phone and seems disgusted. And if we really want to do some reaching, like we haven't already, we can mention his wallpaper. It's never fully exposed, but it's definitely one of those old school render wallpapers. Actually, it's this one that I found under the name Epic Minecraft Wallpaper, and I agree, it is cool as fuck. These 2 minutes include a lot of hints that could help you interpret what's going on. To me, it introduces David as a person who's a little stuck in the past, someone who doesn't like change and is now going back to beta Minecraft to, I don't know, relive memories or chase some sort of feeling he's lacking. And minute after minute, it becomes more and more apparent. Every time he experiences something new, a thing outside of his comfort zone, an event he hasn't gone through dozens or hundreds of times, he's starstruck. He either gets confused or scared and outright leaves the game. He's literally scared of change. The structures he's built are incredibly similar to the way people built in beta. The forest made out of tall trees is very reminiscent of adventure maps from the time. The town is what you'd find on some random server somewhere. The clay tower is one of those building experiments you'd attempt to make and realize halfway through it's ugly and not worth it in the slightest. Every build is familiar and has been done by everybody thousands of times. David created this safe nostalgic bubble where he tries to relive the glory days of playing Minecraft, building your first house, farm, castle, church, exploring the world and learning about it as you go, playing on a server with friends. I mean, he made a town with a bunch of houses like somebody is gonna live in them. At some point he had to put up pumpkin figures because of how lonely it felt. Without them, the base would look like something Redline would find in one of his videos. David is a person who can't let go of the past. No matter what happens, no matter how damaging it is to his psyche, he comes back time and time again, ignoring old signs from an entity that I think wasn't malicious and was actually trying to help him realize what he's doing isn't healthy. From the beginning, David was experiencing strange events, but they only really hindered his comfort of gameplay and had no actual meaning besides just trying to scare him off from playing the game. It haunted him over and over and over again until he deleted the save file, and then seemingly it all stopped. David was never hurt by anything. Maybe he'll have to spend like thousands of dollars in therapy later on, but he's fine. Even his Minecraft avatar is okay. It never died. It surely got damaged a lot throughout the movie, but that was because of David running out of weapons or getting caught off guard by mobs. And to the entity's credit, it tried its hardest to make him quit with non-traumatic methods, just creepy, unusual stuff that could still be explained with logic and not make you go insane. As the story progressed, the events gradually went up in intensity, starting from the fog that made the usual gameplay loop a little creepier and limited, to a village and tunnels, making it seem like someone was living in David's world, then much heavier stuff like Calm 4 playing in the cave, and only when he came back after the cave incident, still trying to play after the entity's 10th attempt, only then did it resort to doing something terrifying and unexplainable. It probably didn't have any other option to make David quit. It had to go fully ballistic because he wouldn't give in otherwise. But who would and could do that? Who would have access to scrapped features? Who could control the render distance, make the game glitch out, have footsteps follow David around without anybody in the vicinity? Who would be so adamant on stopping him from playing, and who would care enough to do it? If we take the title The Last Beta Player literally, and we probably, definitely are supposed to take it literally, if David truly is the last person to ever play beta, then the entity might be the game itself. It has full control of every aspect of the game, it knows David, it cares about him, and wants him to let go of his attachment to beta. The game is done. It's a vast, empty landscape with a few reminders of the past left behind, peacefully rotting away. There is nothing to do and nothing to be had. Everybody has moved on from it, and it was time for David to do the same. The game wanted David to realize he's using Minecraft as an unhealthy coping mechanism, but at the same time, it was also trying to make him let go because he's the last person keeping the game alive. It couldn't rest because of this one player still clinging on to the past. By deleting the save, David finally relented and let the game fade away. Okay, the video is basically done. The rest of it is gonna be an update / thank you kind of deal. So if you don't care about that, you can leave if you want. But for those who care, thanks for staying, first of all. Second, holy shit. The response to the videos I made recently has been nothing short of insane. I have no idea how that happened. I never thought this would turn out the way it did. I mean, I had my high hopes, like, yeah, this will reach 1 million, sure, no biggie. But to actually see that number hit was something else. I believe 3 days in, the main video had 2,000 views, and overnight it skyrocketed to 100K. I opened my phone the morning of that day, and it was lagging because of the notifications I got. I had comments and subs notifications set to my email. It just, I don't know, it kept going up, and whenever the view graph chilled down and it looked like it was about to flatline, it would start going up again. I mean, as of a week ago, it's been 3 months, and just in less than a day of me editing the intro to this video, the numbers I put up are inaccurate. It's 1,655K now. And the second video, it's coming up on 200K, which for a 2-hour sequel to a 2-hour video from a creator who nobody gives a shit about, I'm new, like, it's astounding. Thank you. It's been a weird couple of months. Out of nowhere, I have a Discord with 400 plus members. My channel is at 24K subs, and I received so many positive messages on Instagram, Discord, and YouTube itself. The comments, I read them. Actually, I read them. I've read all of them, in fact. 6,800 of them in total. Of course, I've had some hate thrown at me. Some comments were rough, but there's been so much more positivity than hate, and I wish I could make a video just reading comments because of how many good ones there are, but instead I'll just, as a conclusion, as the outro, I'll just leave 2 that really stuck with me. These are my favorite. Baconhead Hair 6938 said, "Thanks, I think. You're welcome, I guess." And Raining Trees said, "As a bitch, I can confirm we love your autism swag. Heart. Thank you. I'm flattered. I may have blushed the first time I read it, but please don't think of yourself that way. That said, I will be printing this out and putting it on my wall. Thank you very much. Again, thank you for everything. I have a Discord now. I have a Minecraft server on that Discord. I have an Instagram. I post art there, photography, drawings sometimes. If you want to check that out, check it out. You can check out my other videos, the other 2 videos that I made. Yeah. Thank you and bye. See you next time.